They elbowed her in the face at a small-town gym. She didn't flinch. She checked a broken watch, tasted blood, and walked away, quiet as tide before a storm. They thought she was weak. They didn't know Natasha Carter was a Navy SEAL. The gym smelled like rubber and lemon cleaner. 6 in the morning. Lights too bright for the hour. Natasha Carter finished her set and slid the bar into its cradle. Silence was her favorite spot on the map. Silence and the rhythm of breath, a shoulder shoved past, a laugh too loud for the size of the room. 3 men had brought their bravado with them. Contractor haircuts, cable machine swagger, the kind of noise that believes itself. She wiped the bar. She turned to leave space. The tall one racked a barbell, spun too fast, and his elbow cracked against her cheekbone. A clean hit. Bone on bone. The sound snapped through the air like a snapped twig. Her mouth tasted of copper. Her eyes watered. She didn't blink. Didn't see you there, he said, smiling because the smile made him brave. Natasha set her towel down. She touched the spot. No fracture. A small cut. She looked at him like you look at a locked door. Patient, measuring the hinges. It happens, she said. He grinned wider because she hadn't made him pay, because the room hadn't asked him to be small. His friends laughed. Their voices ricocheted off mirrors and pride. She breathed in. 4 counts, out 4 counts. She slipped the broken watch from the pocket of her hoodie, felt the spidered glass with her thumb. The hands were stuck at 02:17. They had been stuck for years. Her reminder. Some hours never move. You move anyway. She tucked the watch away. She saw her empty wallet when she opened the locker. Old leather, a clean fold. Nothing inside but a photograph of a road too wide for the frame. A dusty road from a childhood county where drought changed the color of speech. A place where she learned to run without asking for water. She put the wallet back. She packed her bag. She met the tall man's eyes once more and saw what she always saw in these rooms. A boy inside a bigger body, searching for an exit that looked like winning. You okay? A woman by the treadmill asked softly. I'm fine, Natasha said. Really? She walked to the door. She didn't turn when one of the men murmured something low. She didn't turn when the music swallowed it. She stepped out into the clean sting of winter air. Street salt crackled under her shoes. She walked the long side of the block along the chain-link fence that held 3 sleeping cars and 1 awake cat. Breath steady, steps even. Her jaw pulsed. Her hands were loose. She stopped under a dead streetlight and looked up at the gray sky. She thought of the dusty road again. The one behind her grandparents' house. She'd run that road at 13, hungry and angry, clutching an empty wallet because a neighbor had said hunger was a teacher, and she wanted to graduate early. She thought of Bud Slater, sand in her eyes, men on either side shaking, her own legs steady because the road had taught steadier. She touched the broken watch again. The glass caught dawn. She smiled small and private. People think pain is the point. It isn't. Control is the point. Her phone buzzed. Unknown number. You should have apologized, the text read. Natasha slipped the phone away. She kept walking. Courage isn't loud. That's why some people miss it standing right in front of them. At the corner, a pickup eased by. Tinted windows. The passenger lifted a phone and filmed her through the glass. The truck rolled on. Pride never wants to leave a scene without a souvenir. She reached her building. She looked at her reflection in the front door's glass. Blood had dried in a neat line. She washed it away in the lobby sink. She checked the watch one more time. Stopped hands. Beating heart. Good trade. She climbed the stairs. She put her bag down and opened the window. A gull crossed the slice of morning with the purpose of a letter delivered to the right address. Her phone buzzed again. Another unknown number. A different tone. We need to talk tonight, Pier 5, 9 p.m. She stared at the message. No name, no question mark. Just a drop pin that felt like a pulled thread. She sat on the edge of the bed. She looked at the photo in her wallet. Dusty road, wide as a dare. She whispered to the quiet room. You elbowed the wrong face. Then a shadow moved under her door. A slow scrape. Paper slid across the floor. She stood. She picked it up. 1 line, block letters. We know who you are. The letters smelled faintly of lemon cleaner. She turned the note over. A smear of blood. Not hers, she listened. The hallway held its breath and then someone knocked. 3 times, gentle as a lullaby. Natasha didn't open the door. She stood to the side of the frame and watched the seam. That small line where trouble leaks, who is it? She asked a pause. Then a voice she knew from a long time ago, a voice that had counted in storms and never lost its place. Morning, Carter. It's Ruiz, she exhaled. Opened the door. Ruiz filled the threshold like a coat rack built by a careful carpenter. Clean beard, eyes that didn't waste movement. You look like you headbutted a shelf, he said. Close, she said. He glanced down the hall, then stepped inside. He closed the door with a palm. His gaze took a lap around her small apartment. Bed made, shoes aligned, windows cracked to let the harbor's cold talk in. Pier 5, he asked, holding up his phone. Same text, different screen, she nodded. You too. You going? Yes. Alone? Yes. He slid his hands into his jacket, pulled them out empty, put them back. The ritual of a man who keeps his hands where he can see them when he is thinking. He looked at the broken watch on the table. He looked at the empty wallet beside it. Souvenirs? Anchors, she said. He nodded because he understood weight. They elbowed you? Tall one. Smile that never lands. And you walked away. It was a gym, not a battlefield. He half smiled. Sometimes they're the same. She poured coffee. He didn't drink it. He stared at the note on the counter. We know who you are. You think they do? He asked. They know enough to write it, she said. They know enough to watch. Want me to make calls? No. You sure? She took the watch and slipped it into her pocket. Glass-kissed fabric. Yes. Why? Because some lessons don't fit on paper. He watched her for a long second. He saw the dusty road inside her eyes. He nodded again. I'll be near, he said. But you won't see me, she didn't argue. He left without a sound. The hallway swallowed him like water takes a stone. She dressed. Nothing special. Jacket with a hood. Boots with good grip. The empty wallet in the inner pocket where she kept the photo of the road. The watch in her jeans pocket where her hand could find it without looking. The day dragged itself across the window like a slow ship. She ran 3 miles by the harbor. She stretched on the pier and counted waves. She called no one. She answered nothing. Afternoon thinned. Evening put its hands on the city's dimmer switch. The gym across the street lit up in squares. People moved like clockwork inside. Her phone buzzed again. Means 9, the message said. Don't be late, she smiled. She arrived early. Pier 5 held gulls, rope, and old stories. The wind came in sideways. A gull screamed at a fish it didn't catch. The water shifted its weight like a man with a secret. She stood under the pier light and watched the reflections argue. Her breath made brief ghosts. A truck idled at the far end. Same dark tint, same lazy bravado. The tall man stepped out with 2 shadows. The kind of shadows that don't know they are shadows. He kept his distance. He looked at her like a man looks at a locked door. Ironic symmetry. You're early, he said. I like empty places, she said. He laughed. It sounded like he'd practiced. Name's Cole, he said, as if names were bridges. I didn't ask, she said. His hands were empty. His pockets were full. He shifted his weight like a plan. You made me look stupid, he said. No, she said. You rented that look and wore it everywhere. His jaw tightened. His friends shifted like dogs in 2 tight collars. We can fix this, he said. You say you tripped. We say we tripped. Everyone laughs. The videos disappear. What videos? He shrugged. The ones people like. She took a step closer. I don't bargain with noise. He smiled again. It broke at the edges. We know who you are. You know a label, she said. Not the person wearing it. That landed wrong inside him. He took a short step that made his friends take long ones. One reached behind his belt. Not smart. Not graceful. Natasha's hand touched the broken watch inside her pocket. Cold glass. Stop time. She felt the old road's grit under her tongue the way memory brings its own dust. You should be careful, she said. Or what? Cole asked. Or you'll meet the part of me you keep pretending isn't real. A flashlight clicked behind them. Ruiz's beam drew a white line across black water. Cole's men flinched. Gentlemen, Ruiz said, voice like a hand on a shoulder that says sit down, not please. We're done here. Cole grinned bigger because the audience had grown. Now I know who she called, he said. She didn't call me, Ruiz said. I call myself. Cole moved his hand. Natasha moved faster. Not a punch. Just a redirect. A hand finds a wrist. A wrist forgets it ever held power. The knife lifted. The knife left. Water swallows fast at night. The knife hit with a small sound. The sound a bad idea makes when it dies. Cole's eyes lost their map. Something like fear looked for a chair. Sirens whispered somewhere close. Cole leaned in, too close for his bravado to breathe. "You think this ends with a swim?" He said. "No," Natasha said. "It ends with a choice," he sneered. "Whose?" "Yours," she said. The sirens grew louder. Blue and red stitched themselves to the pier's wet boards. Ruiz's light cut out. Cole smiled again. He loved an audience more than air. "Say goodbye to your quiet," he said. A phone vibrated in Natasha's pocket then. A message lit the screen. "Turn on the TV, now." And there, in a thumbnail, was her face under gym lights, elbowed, still as a loaded spring, and the caption that burned, "Navy SEAL takes a hit and doesn't swing back." The video played on loop. 10 seconds. The elbow, the smear of blood, her stillness, the crowd's silence, over and over until strangers thought they had been there. By morning, the gym's owner had given a quote to a station that needed one. "She handled it with grace," he said. "We're reviewing our policies," he added. The kind of words you can staple to any incident and call it a sign. Natasha put the TV on mute. The words were loud even without sound, scrolling comments like gnats, takes that mistook themselves for truth. Some of them kind, many of them bored. She turned the TV off. Quiet returned like a friend who knows when to knock. Ruiz leaned on the wall, arms folded. "You okay?" he asked. "Yes." "Liar." "Half?" she said. He nodded. "Contractors are suspended. The knife gives the report a backbone." "Bones aren't the problem," she said. "Nerves are." He looked at the watch on her table. Broken, honest. He picked it up and set it upright, face to the window, as if sunlight could cure time. Her phone stopped buzzing long enough for a real call to squeeze through. The number carried the taste of salt and old orders. "Carter," the voice said. "This is Commander Ellison." She stood without meaning to. "Sir." "At ease," he said, because the word works even through a phone. "You handled yourself. You also made a mess. I chose quiet in a place that rewards noise," she said. "I saw," he said. He didn't sigh. His silence did. "PR will chew on this. They'll spit out something bland. It won't taste right. It will pass." "Understood." "You need anything?" he asked. "No." "Liar," he said gently. "Half," she said. He let the soft rebuke stand. "There's chatter," he said. "Your name leaves the wrong mouths. Keep your circle small. Keep your patience large." "Yes, sir." The call ended like a door closing softly in a big house. By noon, the gym's cameras were everywhere. A longer cut surfaced. It showed the laughter before the elbow. It showed the space she gave them. It showed the blow. It showed her restraint. The narrative tried to adjust its weight. Cole's name leaked next. The internet did what it always does with names. Made slogans of them, made threats of them, made jokes of them until the jokes sounded like prayers for the wrong god. Natasha left her apartment. She walked the waterfront with a hood up. The air had the kind of cold that keeps secrets. She watched gulls argue with nothing and win. She smelled diesel, fish, rain. A young woman jogged past, then slowed, then turned. "Are you?" she began. "Yes," Natasha said, saving her the trouble of timidity. "You didn't hit back," the woman said. It sounded like awe sitting shyly in a chair. "I didn't need to," Natasha said. "How?" the woman asked. Natasha looked out at the water. "I've learned not to spend more than I have," she said. The woman glanced down at the empty wallet peeking from Natasha's coat pocket. She smiled a little. "I get that," she said and jogged on. At the Veterans Center, a flyer for a self-defense class had her name on it now. She didn't put it there. Someone did. She stared at the paper thumbtacked to a corkboard. She felt strange seeing her name not on a uniform, not on a form, but on a promise. She taught that night. Small room. Scuffed mats. Women with different kinds of tired holding water bottles like anchors. She showed them breath first, then stance, then distance. "Most fights," she said, "are math." They practiced stepping aside when trouble assumed the world was a straight line. After class, a girl with sharp shoulders held out an empty wallet. "He took everything last time," she said quietly. "Not again." Natasha held the wallet. It felt weightless and heavy at once. You'll leave before he asks this time, she said. You'll keep what matters, the girl nodded. Hope made her taller. Natasha walked home under a sky that had put its stars away early. She unlocked her door. She stopped in the entry. A smell was wrong by just enough to make the back of her neck pay attention. Her table was neat. Her shoes still in line. But the watch, gone. Her breath came out in a slow, measured exhale. She looked at the window. Closed. She looked at the lock. Unbothered. She looked at the floor. Dry. Whoever entered knew how to leave no footprints between two stillnesses. She opened the fridge. A note sat where milk should have been. Bring the watch to where you grew up, it read. The dusty road. Midnight, come alone. She stared at the words until they were lines without meaning. She put the empty wallet on the counter. She slid her thumb along the crack in the leather. A prayer as old as grief. Her phone lit with a new message from an unknown number. The same tone as before. We'll trade your quiet for our silence. She turned all the lights off. Night folded itself around her shoulders. She stood in the dark and counted her breath. Midnight is an old language. She still speaks it. She packed a small bag. She slipped a photograph of the dusty road into her pocket. She left without a sound. Somewhere between her door and the street, a shadow stepped away from a wall. Ruiz. You can't go alone, he whispered. I have to, she said. He shook his head once. You don't owe them your past. Maybe not, she said. But they owe someone a lesson. Which someone? He asked. The kind that leaves a mark you can't wash off, she said. He sighed without sound. He handed her a small earpiece. I'll be the ghost, he said. She nodded. She walked toward a car that knew the way back to a county that believed in dust more than rain. Her phone buzzed once more. Just before she started the engine, don't be late. The text read. She wasn't, and 3 cars back. Under a streetlight that had just begun to hum, a camera lens blinked awake. The road hadn't changed. It still broke into powder at the shoulder. It still told your shoes what they were made of. The fields around it wore winter like an old shirt, thin but familiar. Midnight was cold enough to bite. The moon punched holes in the dark. Crickets had nothing to say. Natasha parked by the fence line and walked the last half-mile. Her boots gave back small sounds. The air smelled like old hay and newer trouble. Headlights carved up the far end of the road. One pair, then another, then a third. Trucks stopped with nose to nose like sore bulls. The engines idled their nerves. Cole stepped out. He wore a hat now. Hats make some men think higher of their own heads. 2 other men flanked him. She recognized one from the gym. The other had the look of a man who keeps accounts and resentments with equal accuracy. You came, Cole said. You asked nicely, she said. Where's the watch? The accountant asked. His voice sounded like paper cuts. She smiled. You tell me, he frowned. You brought it. You took it, she said. Why would I bring it to you twice? They shifted. Plans prefer the world to be flat. She had brought hills. Cole spit into the dust like he owned it. We've got everything, he said. Your past, your name, your quiet retirement. We can make it loud. Or quiet again. You choose. Blackmail, she said, tasting the word like a match she had no intention of striking. We call it leverage, the accountant said. Investments, futures, whose? She asked. Ours, he said, which was the only honest word he gave her. She saw a 4th man now. He leaned against the last truck. He held her broken watch in his palm like a tiny defiance. He lifted it so the moon could see. The glass flashed. She felt the small flare inside her chest like a match that did decide to light itself. Why the watch? She asked. Because you touched it more than your phone, Cole said. Because it matters, he was right. That bothered her less than it should have. You're going to give us what we want, the accountant said. You're going to say you started it. You're going to make a video. You're going to send it tonight. And if I don't, she asked. Then your records, he said, tapping his pocket. Make new friends. She tilted her head. You mean the records you think you accessed? He smiled. He liked that she believed in his reach. She took one step. Ruiz's voice brushed her ear. 2 behind the trucks, 1 on the fence line. Thermal says they're cold but wired. Copy, she whispered, lip barely moving. Cole heard nothing. He was already tired of the conversation. He flicked his eyes at the man with the watch. A code. Move. The man stepped forward. Slow. He wanted to be seen being brave. Natasha met him halfway. Not fast, just inevitable. You can hold it, she said, nodding at the watch. Or you can hold yourself. You won't do both, he smirked. He chose wrong. He lifted his chin. He lifted his arm. She didn't take the watch. She took his balance, a small shift of hip. A longer step through, a pivot that turned gravity into a co-conspirator. He folded. The watch flew. It arced like a tiny moon and landed in dust with a soft thud. Cole jumped forward. A hand went behind his back. She shook her head before he could finish the theater. No, she said. No props. The accountant snapped his fingers. Headlights flared. Another truck roared out of a field path, men in it. Too many for a talk. Ruiz's voice again. 5 more. 2 with bats. 1 with something worse. Copy, she said. Cole's grin cracked. He thought numbers were a god. Last chance, he said. You say that like numbers don't collapse, she said. He lunged. The road answered with dust. Her hands found elbows, turned them into confessions. She moved through the space like water that remembers the shape of stone and refuses to become it. A bat whooshed. She stepped inside the arc. She trapped an arm,